Hello, everyone. This is attorney Curlin Hippolyte at Afonso Archie and Foley, a law firm located in Cinnaminson, New Jersey. Today, the topic I'd like to address is very serious, and I'd like to provide a legal breakdown on it. The topic is domestic violence. Now, as we all know, ever since coronavirus started, more and more people are spending time at home, and what that's doing is causing an uptick in domestic violence complaints because as people spend more and more time at home, they're suffering from contempt against the other person who is in that same household. Sometimes too much of a good thing can make you sick. And so we've all heard familiarity breeds contempt, and that is made evident by the upticks of domestic violence that we are seeing in the state of New Jersey and around the world. So today what I'd like to do is provide some information for someone who is a victim of domestic violence and some information for someone who may be accused of domestic violence because the consequences are severe and the state of New Jersey does not play around with domestic violence. So if you have a situation where domestic violence is involved, you need to take it very seriously because in New Jersey, domestic violence is considered a serious crime against society and they do not play around. And when the state of New Jersey punishes for domestic violence, they punish as if it was a crime that was in criminal court. So, what I'd like to do today is provide some information. First, who are the people who can be considered victims of domestic violence in the state of New Jersey? Well, in large part, there are two categories. First, members of the same household and people who are in dating relationships. Anytime someone shares the same household with someone and a predicate act happens, and I'm going to explain a predicate act later on, but anytime you share the same household with someone and a predicate act happens, then you can file for a restraining order against that person if you are a victim. And you can have that filed against you if you are accused of being an abuser. And anytime you're in a dating relationship, the same thing applies. Now, I'd like to talk about predicate acts. You can't get a restraining order against anybody for anything. First, there has to be a predicate act. You can't say, I think he's crazy. I think she's insane. I think she's going to beat me up. I think she's going to kill me. That is not enough to get a restraining order against someone in the state of New Jersey. In New Jersey, there is a requirement that there has to be a predicate act first. And in New Jersey, those predicate acts can be many: assault, threats, sexual contact, lewdness, burglary, terroristic threats. Anytime someone does anything like that to a member of the same household or to someone they had a dating relationship with or a former dating relationship with, then domestic violence is on the table and restraining orders can start being issued. What are the consequences if a restraining order is issued against you? If you have a restraining order issued against you, the consequences are almost like a criminal penalty because, one, it's on your record. There's a registry for domestic violence that they have. Your name would be included on it if you are found guilty of domestic violence. You are not allowed to own a firearm. There are certain jobs you are not allowed to have. If you have children, having a restraining order issued against you can affect your custody. You may be required to pay fines. You may be forced to go through programs regarding drugs and alcohol. So the consequences are very severe. If you are a victim, you need to make sure that if you are going to go to court for a domestic violence matter, you need to be sure that you have someone there with you who can explain to the judge that this is a very serious matter, that you need it for your own protection, or else you believe something bad may happen to you. Because if you are unable to convince whoever is listening that you need the restraining order to protect you, there is a high possibility that it won't be issued. And if the restraining order is not granted when it's deserved, there's a high likelihood that something bad could happen. So in both cases, my belief is that an attorney would be the best practice, especially someone who is familiar with domestic violence, who knows what the consequences are and who knows what needs to be proven in order for a restraining order to be issued, because the state of New Jersey does not play around with this thing called domestic violence. It is considered a serious crime against society. And so anytime a serious crime against society is mentioned, then you need to have serious legal representation. My name is Curlin Hippolyte. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.